Fight, 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 fight.
Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rackets of Rackets Law, small law firm in central Minnesota. How is it going? How's it going? I am late, and for once, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I will cry foul because it's not my fault. It is the fault of Lady Rackets. Is she in the chat? She is in the chat. It's not on me. She's blaming me? No, 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 no. These are your kids. These are your kids and my kids, but I'm blaming you for the kids. I'm right about to start. And the oldest girl comes up. Hey, Dad, right before you start. I'm like, you mean before I start? I'm late. I gotta go. No, you gotta look at the door frame of our room. It's a little bit broken. Who broke the door frame? How did you break a door frame? You're children. You're little. Anyway, so by the way, Real Lady Rackets, their door frame is slightly broken. And it's the baby's fault, apparently. Because why wouldn't it be? Why would it be older kids? No, it's a baby. So anyway. These damn kids. So that's it. It was Lady Rackets' fault initially, and then by proxy, it was the children. The children. And the children's broken door. So yeah. When you were 7, you broke your door. This one's 3. Where's the 7? I should have 4 more years of preserved doors. Okay. So anyway, on to tonight. How are you guys doing? We've got some stuff to cover tonight. We're going to finish up Parler versus Amazon. You sound like Ted Cruz blaming the kids. Yeah, Real Lady Rackets. They both blamed the youngest one, and the youngest one took responsibility. She gets that from me. Anyway. So, we're going to be finishing up Parler versus Amazon. And then we're going to look at the jury selection questions for Derek Chauvin's trial that's coming up. I have maybe more down. I have maybe more listed. It's Camelot 331's birthday today. Oh, that's good. The maybe more is there's a couple things. Let me get this out of the way first, since it's Thursday, and since I know somebody's gonna ask. No, the Court of Appeals did not rule on Vic's case today. So, another week, at least, probably several more. And I know in the next week, I'm gonna get asked like 18 times. But I'll say it now. Nothing happened today with the Court of Appeals in regards to Vic's case. They ruled on like 8 different cases, not his. And it's not coming. So stop it. Stop asking about it. Tim W., Pixlexia, I'm gonna I'm going to throw all of you in a blender or something. No, worse. I'm going to throw all of you onto Blender. Isn't that one of those websites, or is that a Photoshop app? I don't even know anymore. So there's that. I need to do something. Oh, someone sent me this video, and we're not going to do it today because it'll take a long time, but I'm going to do it on an upcoming show, and it's okay because this is back in 2019 anyway. But I'll give you a little preview of it, I guess. This is back in 2019. Here we go. This is a video of a court hearing from 2019. And CPS lawyer wants judge to allow social workers to lie. Now, this lawyer is arguing in front of a 3-judge panel. This is an appeals case in which the lawyer for CPS employees is advocating that they should have qualified immunity for lying to allow CPS to take the children away from the parents. Yep. That was an argument that was forwarded in court in this says 2019. I think this was actually in 2016. If we go, yeah, this was actually argued October 7th, 2016. So if you guys ever want me to go through, like court hearings and stuff that are on YouTube or whatever, you find something interesting, those tend to make for pretty fun shows because usually the court hearings that go up on YouTube have something interesting on them. So, we'll probably do this next week some point, or maybe over the weekend. Just as you could get an update on the Sophie case if I had one. I haven't been following it. I'll have to check. Just so you know, if you don't remember, I've said it every day this week, but there will be no show tomorrow night. There'll be no show tomorrow night. I will be gone. So there won't be any show tomorrow night. Tomorrow during the daytime at 11 a.m., I will be on Eric Hunley's show along with, who am I with on that? Let me take a look. I'm trying to remember who I'm with. Let's see. Where are we? With Joe the lawyer, Joe Neerman. Good Logic, and I will be on the show with Eric Hunley tomorrow. So, what about Saturday? Bring Ty on. We'll have to see. I gotta talk to him. I also have a friend to come on at some point to talk about schooling and schooling alternatives. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of that stuff. People have been asking me to do a homeschool stream, maybe at some point. This one is not a homeschool stream, but it is a stream of someone who is doing alternative schooling, and not just sending their kids to private school. They're actually they've created, along with some other people, I believe it's a charter school in Minnesota. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what that's like, what it entails, what the advantages are, what the challenges are. It's a subject that I think I'm going to try and find some people to talk about as we can, because you got to get your kids out of public school, man. That's like putting them in a vat of acid. It's just these days it's becoming more and more ridiculous. So knowing what's out there, knowing what type of things you can do. By the way, when governments shut schools down, a lot of private schools stayed open. A lot of them did. So Anyway, so that show's coming up. It was supposed to actually be when was it? It was supposed to be it's supposed to be tomorrow. It's supposed to be tomorrow, but I forgot that I was going to be gone. So, it has to get pushed back. Yes, I saw the Right Side Broadcasting Network got shut down for broadcasting Trump's CPAC speech. I saw there is still one place to find that CPAC speech on YouTube for now. I talked to the team at Locals. I talked to them at Locals today because I tried to upload my entire 8-hour stream onto of day 3 of CPAC onto my Locals page, and their video processor is not geared up for that big of a file. So I got to chop it up into smaller parts. I'm going to see if I can get that done tomorrow. But I want to make sure people have access to that. Although, as stated, it is still up on this channel. They kicked it off of my archive channel, but it's still here. So, get your Locals working. It is working. I'm just trying to make it more robust. So, anyway, that's coming. That'll be up on Locals soon. People are saying use FFmpeg. I could just use whatchamacallit? Adobe Premiere Rush or whatever. So that is that. By the way, shameless advertisement. You can check out my local page. It's getting closer and closer to a full launch. I think the stuff they're working on is very exciting. But exclusive content will be moved over to Locals as possible. They don't have streaming yet, so cooking shows and stuff will not be directly live over there yet. Eventually, they may be. But streaming will, once streaming is done on Locals, once that's up, I'll be streaming both to here and to Locals. So that's that. What else do we have? Oh yeah, and you can follow on Locals for free. And if you choose to engage in paid content, which is, like I said, it's not really there yet. But if you choose to engage in paid content, you can at a later time. But you can always go over there and just follow now for free. All right. Now we're going to look at some other stuff before we get fully started on this, because I want to take care of all this stuff. If you guys remember, I did a video on Thunderfoot, and I'm trying to pull it up right. I'm pulling up everything right now that's important in relation to this story, which is too many things. Okay, so I did a video on Thunderfoot. It was it's a good video. I stand by this video. I think it's great. And we're going to look at something else. So this was in regards to SpaceX, right? Thunderfoot did a video about SpaceX, and in that video, he used a 17 to 18 second clip from this guy Trevor Mallman, all right? And then Trevor Mallman threw a hissy fit about fair use. Now, and then he took that and he sent a threatening letter to Thunderfoot. And then what he did was he whined about it on Twitter. So I did a video talking about it, and I did a fair use analysis of it based on my opinion, my look at the facts, my understanding of fair use. And what I did was I came to the conclusion that I think Thunderfoot's use is fair. I still think Thunderfoot's use is fair. I've never changed the opinion of thinking it's fair. I think it's fair because he transformed the video. And I know people hate this. People hate this because this is not a thorough legal opinion. But let me just suggest something. The law is often stupid, but the law is often less stupid than we make it out to be. Okay? And in a lot of cases, the way the law works, or at least the way the law is designed, is it's designed to reflect some semblance of a sensical outcome. Stick with me, because I know how that sounds, because we cover a bunch of stuff with nonsensical legal outcomes. But on balance, the law is there to eliminate 99% of things. Because it mostly wants to it mostly wants to funnel things towards a sensible outcome, right? The sensible outcome for this sort of arrangement is not to have a YouTuber grab part of another YouTuber's video to make some little point in their video, pay $750 or now $1,500 because the demand went up to $1,500. That is not a sensible outcome for 15 to 18 seconds of footage. It just isn't. Now, maybe if you're talking to a massive news network, maybe if you're talking to something like that, that can, in theory, be a sensible outcome. But if they're paying $750 for 18 seconds of video, better be a banger of 18 seconds, right? Because you have to take that, plus you have to combine it with the staffing costs and all of that stuff. And then you have to determine that your coverage of it is going to net you more than what you paid in. News organizations are for-profit businesses. And I can't imagine a segment on the crashing of a SpaceX rocket using only 18 seconds of Trevor Mallman's footage nets that kind of profit. I mean, maybe it does, but with all the other stuff going into that segment. So, which is probably, by the way, why you didn't see any news stations buy 17 seconds of Trevor Mallman's footage to pay for news coverage. That's why you probably don't see it on like all of these places. Okay? That being said, there's a very common sense approach to the idea of transformative work. Now, this is not a full-on legal analysis of transformative work before these fat, dumb, boring, law Twitter pretendopotamuses, okay, like to come out and talk about, oh, doesn't do the research. Because what I don't do is I don't present an analysis as if it were a dissertation for a PhD in copyright or whatever weird thing that Mike Dunford is going for. Like, that's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to dumb down and explain the analysis into normal people talk. And so here's a real common sense way to look at transformative analysis on the surface. And this eliminates a lot of the analysis. Is one person watching the new video, watching it for the same reason as the original video. Because there's this weird definition called transformative, right? So if you're watching Trevor Mallman's video to watch the SpaceX rocket lift off, flip over, fall down, and crash, and you're watching Thunderfoot's video for some other reason, we have to tip the needle towards transformative. Now, again, that is not, and it is not a thorough and exhaustive fair use analysis, but it's a common sense approach to whether or not something's transformative. Are you looking for something in this video that you would find in this video? No one is watching Thunderfoot's video to watch that SpaceX rocket crash. That's not the purpose of his video. If it was, he would just show the SpaceX rocket crashing and not have another 23 minutes of discussion about the failures of SpaceX and how people who watch SpaceX or who like SpaceX will apologize for it being not very successful. That's why they're watching Thunderfoot's video, not to just see the rocket go boom. So this is a very baseline, common sense look. Is this transformative? And if it tips you towards yes, if you go, you know what, maybe it is, then maybe it is. It needs further use, further analysis. Now, that was not the extent of my analysis, but that's part of it that Mike Dunford focused on. But that's okay. Mike Dunford is dumb. I don't really care, and we're going to make fun of him in a minute. That being said, here's what happened. So Leonard French released a video, okay? And Leonard French is the internet's copyright attorney. I have plenty of respect for Leonard French, and the moment he released his video, as soon as I saw it, I watched it, and I pinned a comment on my video telling people they should go watch the video from Leonard French because it's a different opinion than mine. He came down and said this is not fair use based on his analysis, okay? So I said Leonard French has released a video about this that poses a different opinion. Leonard is an active copyright practitioner and people should consider his opinion. Link to the video. Stand by my analysis, but strongly encourage people to watch Leonard's video. It's important to remember that in basically every legal situation, there are two lawyers whose job it is to disagree in a normal situation. If Thunderfoot and Trevor Mallman went to court over this, it's likely that each one would hire an attorney who would have a differing opinion than the other attorney on the fair use analysis, because if for nothing else, they'd have to. That'd be their job. So, the idea of two lawyers disagreeing about analysis is not a problem for me. It's only on the internet where that's a weird thing. But in real life, that's a normal thing. That's the always. That's the every case. So, that being said, what happened yesterday was something interesting. Thunderfoot posted a new video, Trevor Mallman versus Thunderfoot, on March 3rd, 2021. Okay? In this video, Thunderfoot provides his 4-point fair use analysis. And what happens? Here's a pinned comment from Leonard French on Thunderfoot's video, criticizing Mallman through the use of his video. That's the distinction that makes the difference. In my video/analysis, I had assumed that Thunderfoot was using the footage as stock footage. I don't know why Leonard took that assumption. I never looked at it as using it as stock footage. I said he's using it to juxtapose against a successful launch and talk about how SpaceX is not actually successful. And that 20 years ago, they had successful rocket technology that did this. Now, he's clearly being critical of this whole thing. But Thunderfoot is making it clear in his video, and I didn't go into this analysis on mine. I'm not trying to take credit for it because I didn't say it. But Thunderfoot says he's actually actively mocking Trevor Mallman and the people laughing in the background. Though I did mention that a little bit, but not as explicitly. So, anyway, so now that Leonard French catches that that's what Thunderfoot's doing, let's see what he says. But if he was criticizing the people cheering in the background, he did that. I mentioned that in my video because that's the next line that follows his use of the clip. That's what builds into the entire point of it being transformative. That's the juxtaposition. That's the change of the use of the work, is that next line that he says. But Leonard French didn't look at that, and that's fine. He doesn't have to, by the way. This isn't a criticism of Leonard French. And especially if that's Mallman cheering, that should be enough to push the analysis into fair use. If that wasn't Mallman cheering, then I'm not sure what happens. Both parties would then be mistaken as to what the opposing videos contained. Mallman thought Thunderfoot was using the footage as stock footage. Thunderfoot thought Mallman was one of the people cheering. Even then, Thunderfoot's use still needed to use that particular video to criticize it. So I'm still on the side of fair use. Well, la-di freaking da. So yes, Leonard French has now changed his opinion based on Thunderfoot's own analysis which was a layperson's analysis. My point of this is not anything other than, fuck you, I was right, fuck you. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. My point about this is lawyers can have opinions. Lawyers can have differing opinions. Lawyers can change their opinions. It's all okay. It's all okay. The internet is not this weird game of legal one-upsmanship that people think it does. But that so familiar weirdo was really, really hinging his victory or whatever it was on lawful masses, on Leonard French being right. Well, now Leonard French agrees that it is fair use. And I say to that, of course it's fair use. Of course it is. We're in a different world than we were in. And even if it wouldn't have been fair use 25 years ago, with news stations and stuff like that, we're not on news stations anymore. This isn't the same place. Our understandings of how we're using media is changing. Our understandings of how media rights work are changing. And that industry, that photojournalistic industry of stock footage or whatever you want to call it, it could honestly die or drastically change. But that being said, Leonard French's analysis is still very, very useful and helpful, and people should still watch it and learn about fair use from a guy who does it every single day, because his analysis was still good, and he could take that original analysis and use that as the basis to build a case if he was representing Malman. If he's representing Thunderfoot, he's going to take this new perspective and use that. That's all fine. Now, I do need to find Mike Dunford. He's got a video clip. What I love this thing that Mike Dunford does. Okay? He's done it before, and we're gonna do this one together. Mike is an interesting guy because Mike teaches copyright stuff. And if he weren't so fun to make fun of, I would have loved to actually talk to him as a normal person. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but I offered very civilly and very nicely to interact with Mike Dunford in very friendly ways, even after he was critical of me on Vic's case. I said, hey, we should do a show. We could talk about something else. We could talk about whatever. Let's do stuff. And Mike treated me like an asshole when I was nice. I was the nice guy because I'm always the nice guy to start. I'm not mean. I'm nice. I'm loving. I'm a lover, not a fighter. But this guy treated me like shit. And so now I will return the favor whenever possible. So Mike does this thing where you have to understand that I'm pretty sure Mike has never worked as an attorney ever on anything, which doesn't matter. That's an okay thing. Lots of people go to law school, graduate, even pass the bar, and never practice law. There's lots of reasons to have a law degree that have nothing to do with practicing law. It's not a criticism. However, Mike does this thing every now and then where he pretends to do lawyer things. And that's when it's really funny. Okay? So, this is Mike, and he is going to, this is just an 18-second clip. How appropriate. And someone on the Kiwi Farms clipped this. I have no idea. I don't think I could sit through 2.5 hours of Mike Dunford. But that being said, someone clipped this. And what I believe is happening here, I believe Mike is pretending that he is deposing Thunderfoot or cross-examining Thunderfoot in the copyright case. And I'm gonna, let's just listen to how his line of questioning goes. So he is asking questions to Thunderfoot about his use of Trevor Mallman's work for some reason.
Mr. Thunderfoot, did you watch Leonard French's video before you made your video of March 3rd? Did you watch the whole video? Did you watch the portion where Mr. French said blah?
Okay, so very simple, very short clip. And I'm not sure what he's ultimately going for here, because when Thunderfoot watched the video by Leonard French versus when he made his March 3rd video, she released on March 3rd. Who knows when he made it? When he watched that video versus when that doesn't change the analysis of whether or not what he did was fair use. So I'm not quite sure what he's trying to do here with this weird line of questioning. Like, I don't get it. Did I have the screen up for that? I think I did. Oh, shit. Let's do it again. Sorry. I thought I had it up here. Here it is. Here it is. Sorry. Here we go.
Mr. Thunderfoot, did you watch Leonard French's video before you made your video of March 3rd? Did you watch the whole video? Did you watch the portion where Mr. French said blah?
Okay. Somebody tell me why this guy thinks that it matters whether or not his analysis was informed by Leonard French. It doesn't change the fair use analysis. If his analysis that he comes to and brings to the court is a fair use analysis, then the use was fair. Whether or not his analysis is informed by Leonard French or not. Like, that doesn't change. In fact, I did a cursory glance, but I didn't see any case law that suggested that you had to have performed a conclusive good faith fair use analysis prior to creating a transformative work. I didn't see that in the law. Maybe it's in there. And legitimately, maybe it is. But I can't find it. I can't find it. So this is one of those things where it's like, Mike, what are you talking about? Now, this probably has something to do with Mike Dunford going through a hissy fit on his analysis here. Let's take a look at this real quick, because this is good. And this, credit to the Kiwis on this one. For clipping out this Twitter thread, because I can't read these people's Twitters. I'll get a brain aneurysm. So here we go. So here's the Kiwi Farms thread. This is from Non-Transferable. And so he says, Leonard French has adjusted his legal opinion on the Thunderfoot versus Trevor Mallman dispute. He now agrees with Nick that Thunderfoot's use of Mallman's footage was fair use because Thunderfoot was making fun of the SpaceX fanatics cheering when the rocket exploded. And then here's their comment about me or whatever. Here's my clip. Oh, I wonder what I said. Let's take a listen to this. Maybe I'm smart. Okay, you get the idea. Oh, that's my quote. Is comparing these two different things that happened. One of them is a successful rocket landing 20 years ago versus an unsuccessful rocket landing from SpaceX. And he's actually commenting about the people cheering on the unsuccessful landing, saying he prefers landings that are successful or rockets that are useful rather than ones that go up, come down, and explode. That is very, very different from the nature of Trevor's work. Holy shit! Weird! It's almost like oh my goodness. It's almost like I said what was in Leonard French's revised analysis. Jesus. It's kind of like, I mean, I might be an idiot, but I am still a lawyer from time to time. So that being said, here we go. Mike Dunford went on a long rant about how wrong Nick was last week and doubled down again today after Thunderfoot made another video with his own fair use analysis. He used a mea culpa after actually watching it and agreed that it was fair use. So here's him. He hated my fair use analysis, which is fine. Look, if Mike Dunford hates something that I do, I count it as a badge of honor. A badge of honor. Seriously, Nick, I know we don't get along and everything, but if you're going to do a fair use video, please ask for help. Oh, buddy, I would never, ever ask you for help. I would rather die than ask you for help. You are one of the most helpless people I've ever seen. You're absolutely embarrassing to watch, you're worse to listen to, and you're slightly less terrible to read. But if my interaction with you is preferable reading you, and reading you, I want to stab ice picks into my eyeballs and scoop around in my brain, then trust me, reaching out to you for help is the last thing I would ever do. I know several other competent IP lawyers who practice. And the last time one of them commented on something you said, you got blown out of the water because you don't. And that's fine, but stop acting like you do. Be honest about what you do in life, Mike. Just be honest. Anyway, if you don't want to ask me, there are other copyright people to ask on Twitter because I'm only 11 minutes in, but so far, the Rackets analysis was it's a great example of knowing enough to be dangerous. Oh, I'll take it. I'll take it. Right, change of plans, partial. So that was back on February 26th. I was going to focus more on the Tara Reid thing tonight, but Thunderfoot has just done another video defending his use of Trevor Mallman's SpaceX footage. It's so aggressively wrong, I think he watched Nick. Yeah, he did, by the way. He was in the chat, Mike. He was there. You can actually turn on the chat and see him and I talking. It was good. I'm watching the new Thunderfoot video on the fair use thing now. Someone really needs to tell Thunderfoot to stop digging. The video is a great illustration why you should very much shut up when threatened with legal action until you find counsel. Here we go. I was a bit unfair to Thunderfoot in my initial take. The analysis is better than Nick's and focuses on the relevant factor. Eventually, it's literally in my it's in my analysis, you dumb fucking mongrel. It's in the analysis. It's right there. Mike, visit my Kiwi Farms page if you want to make fun of me. They're way better at it than you. But Jesus Christ, it's in there. It's the same shit Thunderfoot ended up saying. I think he pushed me a bit toward viewing this as a fair use while simultaneously still making me think that releasing the vid was a bad idea. And then, as he says, hold up, Mike remembered that Nick Man wrong. Never mind. My third take is that my first take was right. This is going to be a fun segment. Oh, if there's one thing on earth I can guarantee, it's that this was never, ever going to be a fun segment when Mike Dunford is talking. That is just not going to happen. That man has no amount of fun built into his gene seed, and it is a hopeless dearth of enjoyment. But, whew. So anyway. I just wanted to point that out. That's where these people are. Still so mad. So mad that I dared defend Vic. Mm. But yeah. So now, Mike Dunford again disagreeing with me. Let's see. Let's chalk up the people that Mike Dunford is disagreeing with. Me, Thunderfoot, Leonard French, and himself. So good. I'll take the opinion of me, Thunderfoot, Leonard French, and Mike Dunford over the opinion of Mike Dunford. So that's where that's where that thing ended up. Was there anything else from this segment that I wanted to cover? Oh yes, so familiar. Let's see. Sofa Miller got into a spat with someone else. I mean, they've been shrieking in the commentary here. Oh, so here we go. Let's take a look at this interaction real quick. So, Sofa Miller's name is Ben, by the way. I was wrong initially. I thought it was Patrick. Then I thought it might be Lance, but I think Patrick is Ben's dad. This is Ben. Says, so he's talking to this guy, James K. He said, what I find funny is that Thunderfoot's analysis is similar to mine on the transformative issue. I didn't agree with French's analysis personally because the video clip is clearly used differently than Mallman's. Obviously, people are going to disagree, and only weirdos online think lawyers are uniform on this. Heck, Akila's lawyer argued for fair use for her. Actually, argued against fair use, but go me. I should probably fix that. I stand by my analysis because from what I've seen, it's correct. And so then Sofa Miller chimes in. We're jumping over James's stuff here because I don't want to spend too long on this segment. Only weirdos online. I appreciate you saying that because it really has been your followers' entire argument. Of course, the irony in all this is that I disagree with IP as a concept entirely, vehemently. The point of arguing the weird subjective nuances is to demonstrate the arbitrary nature of it all, make people frustrated with the system entirely, and make them want to end it. So this little oddball is in comment sections spurging out over fair use analyses because he wants people to get mad enough at him that they want to end intellectual property rights entirely. That's what he wants to do. Like, that's his goal. This is his work. That's what he's saying. Remember, the point of arguing the weird subjective nuances is to demonstrate the arbitrary nature of it all, make people frustrated with the system entirely, and make them want to end it. So he literally says that people talking to me should want to end it all. Like, that's his plan. So then I respond, he's going back and forth with me and James K. So no disrespect to James K. I'm just going with my interactions here. But James K. does some great argument in this thread. It's really fun to read through some of the stuff that evolves in comment sections. But I say, your argumentation and discussion strategy are the reason you have problems with your advocacy. Try being less retarded. My professionalism, completely insufferable and spurgy, undermines your entire approach. I thought, I'm giving him helpful criticism here. This is helpful criticism. Stop being such a weirdo. Just talk to people. Just say, a better approach for him would have been to say, you know what? Whether this is fair use or not, the idea of property rights and intellectual property is stupid and everyone should hate it. Just do that instead. And then everybody will realize that, oh, you're one of those. Oh, you're one of those. So then he said, advocacy, is this a 5th grade popularity contest? Try being less petty. Grow up, you're welcome. This is advocacy, 5th grade popularity. What are you talking about? In law school, they give you a class called advocacy. Do you know that people who go out and forward a position are advocates? That's the definition of the word. It's not a 5th. What you're doing is advocacy. That's the mission you professed in your own post. How do you not understand this? Anyway, this guy's 32, and his name is Ben. And he's completely completely stupid. So that's about enough of that. That's about enough of old Ben there. But you know, he can tell me how much he likes his Hyundai Elantra anytime he wants. Okay, let's do this and get back to this Parler Amazon thing. I got to pull the document back up because my computer did a weird thing and closed down earlier. So I've had a problem with my computer for a little while on occasion. And what I found out that it's not me. It's not something I did. It's actually something that's a problem with AMD and RTX graphics cards. That if you have an AMD 570, whatchamacallit, an X570 motherboard, and you have an RTX graphics card, something with the USB drivers are off, and it registers a disconnect and a reconnect over and over and over. So you hear the same stupid little dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. It's when you have an AMD motherboard, an AMD processor, and then an NVIDIA graphics card. That's where is what I saw. I saw a news story about it. I was like, oh, I've had that problem. So that's what's going on. It's great. It's really annoying, actually. I hate it. Apparently doesn't happen with Radeon graphics cards, just with NVIDIA, which leads me to believe that there might be some intentionality behind it. But, yeah. Flash your BIOS. Look, I opened up my computer and I pulled my pants down and my BIOS didn't do anything. It didn't even wiggle. So I flashed my BIOS. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. The gray one says, hey, Nick, hope you are good. Couldn't see your show live last night, but saw it at work. Hope King Cuomo is held to task for the over $10,000 he cost. My grandmother was one of those people. Oh, raised me and I couldn't even say goodbye. That motherfucker. Sorry to hear that, man. That is... These little tyrants. These little tyrants, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. That deserves a little bit of whiskey. I'm trying to plow through this peat monster because I'm not the biggest fan of it, but... Joshua Maslow, you stop it. You stop that. Okay. Tall Skinny Geek says, Nick, unlike Viva, you never remind me to call my mom. What's up with that? Why would I tell you to call your mom? Why does Viva tell you to call your mom? Woo! Okay. You're drinking peated Nadura? That stuff's so good, Neff. All right. So, here we go. We are on page 41 of 66. Parler versus Amazon. Oh, shit. There's one other thing I needed to do in my Kiwi Farms thread. Let me get it pulled up here. One other thing I needed to do, because someone I like mentioned something about this case, and I want to offer a gentle but friendly correction. All right. So this is from Anonymous, who again, I actually like Anonymous even when he's mean to me. It hurts. It hurts me when you do that. But even when he's mean to me, I like him. So he's commenting on this case, though. He says, Parler omits from their jurisdiction argument that they're both headquartered and incorporated in Nevada. Amazon is headquartered in Washington and incorporated in Delaware. It'd be trivial for Amazon to remove right back to federal court under diversity jurisdiction. The forum/judge shopping is pretty transparent. It seems a bad strategic move to me in general, because Amazon may even prefer the huge home court advantage of a state court where they're the biggest employer in the region. This paragraph is right. This paragraph is right. It may be a bad strategic move to do this, although I contend that they really wanted to get away from the judge who gave them a completely unfair ruling in the first place. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if that's true. This paragraph has a minor error in it, in that Amazon cannot remove this to federal court, because if it's federal rule of civil procedure, you cannot do a removal to federal court if you are the defendant and you are a citizen of the state in which the state court claims are brought. So, even though he's right, they do have diversity. The federal court could certainly take diversity jurisdiction if a plaintiff sues Amazon in Washington because their headquarters, their principal office is located in Washington. They are a citizen of Washington. They're also a citizen of Delaware. Delaware is the state where they're incorporated. So they have corporations can have dual residency, dual citizenship, basically in different states where they're incorporated and where their principal office is. Since their principal office is in Washington, there's actually a rule on removal that says they cannot, as long as diversity is the only reason for removal. Now, if there's a federal question brought in the lawsuit, which I didn't see one, but if there were a federal question, then they could remove for a federal question still. But since their only argument is diversity jurisdiction and they are a citizen of the state, they can't remove. So that's deep in that removal rule. Again, not a criticism at all. Just a friendly correction on that one. But that's why I didn't cover the jurisdiction argument section when we read yesterday. And I didn't catch that anyway. I just didn't think the jurisdiction would be a big deal because Amazon is located in Washington. Washington's going to have jurisdiction over Amazon. So I didn't bother with it. But when he brought up that argument, I wanted to address it so people know the rule, because there is a mild educational aspect of this show. A mild educational aspect. Mostly, I'm just drinking and making fun of people, but sometimes I want to make sure that there's an accurate legal thing. Why Kiwi Farms is it a slow day on Twitter? I barely went on Twitter today. Oh, here we go. Angry Baneling, I'm not going to pin my comment because you were gracious enough to write the comment yourself, and so I pinned yours instead. Okay. So now we're back to count 5, tortious interference with a contract or business expectancy. Resuming this Parler thing. I've now rambled through the first hour, so I always appreciate that you guys let me warm up for about 45 minutes to an hour. But you know, sometimes you got to get that motor going. By improperly terminating services to Parler, Amazon intentionally interfered with Parler's contracts with advertisers and with millions of its present users, as well as future advertisers and the millions of users Parler was projected to gain in the near future. Now, this will be interesting because they have set this claim up much better in this document than they did in their first one. They mentioned tortious interference in their first lawsuit in federal court. They didn't flush it out very well. So it'll be, and they've already set up the facts to show that Amazon knew about the advertisers. They knew that their advertising strategy was a competitor to these other people because their advertisers got to pay less. They knew about some of these facts. So now let's see how they put them together. Under Washington law, to establish a claim for tortious interference with a contract or expectancy, a plaintiff must prove the existence of a valid contractual relationship or business expectancy, the defendant's knowledge of that relationship, an intentional interference inducing or causing a breach or termination of the relationship or expectancy, the defendant's interference for an improper purpose or by an improper means, and resulting damage. Prior to Amazon's actions, Parler had over 12 million users under contract when Amazon terminated its services, as well as contracts with multiple advertisers. Now, people aren't aware you did sign you click on a terms of use and you accept it. Same as with Amazon. And Amazon can't deny that Parler's terms of service is somehow not a contractual relationship because Amazon relies on the same idea, a terms of service as a contractual relationship for them and Parler. So they can't really deny that a contract existed, and they know a contract exists because they basically require a terms of service from their users. So they know about this. And Parler expected to add millions more in the coming weeks, given its growth. The last few days it was online and the growing voice of conservatives encouraging their Twitter followers to switch to Parler, which would bring additional advertisers into contracts with Parler. Additionally, unlike AWS/Amazon, Twitter, Google, and Facebook, Parler's business model enabled it to obtain advertising revenues without the user surveillance necessary to target ads to users based on personal information collected by the platform, a feature very attractive to many users and hence to advertisers seeking to reach them. And because conservative voices were finding greater engagement on Parler than on other platforms, the number of users was expected to continue to increase significantly. This will apparently be on the upload. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Okay. The internet's apparently down. When you see the re-upload of this, I'm going to go try and talk to the chat. I'll be right back. Who knows? Yeah, I think maybe we're back. Are we back? I'm here. I don't know if you're here. Big ups to the internet for shutting down a stream. Just great when that happens. So it took away my super chat history and everything. Okay. All right, I've got it. I've got it here pulled up. I'm so flipping irritated with that. Okay. Yeah, we're back here. Hopefully people will come back to the stream. My internet just decided to take like a union mandated smoke break. I don't know. I don't know at all. But we're back. Okay. So, Anonymous, not Anonymous from Kiwi Farms, but Anonymous on Justice Chat, which means me, says, having internet problems. Oh, wait, no. He says, Nick, you're much nicer than me. If Dunford had been popping off at me about that shit, I'd just ask him who's getting a fair use of his wife tonight. Oh, no. 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 Rude. Very rude. I like it. I like it. Spectrum and their 99.9% reliability. I once got into a long argument with Spectrum when I lived in the Twin Cities because this is back when I had cable and I had their DVR box or whatever. And their service went down and my DVR didn't record the shows that Lady Rackets and I were watching because the service was down then. And so I called them up and I was griping at the guy and he's like, what? Your service is up like 99% of the time. And I said, the problem is that the 1% when it was down was the 1% I needed to watch the thing that I pay all of my bill for. I pay however many dollars, I pay 100% of the bill to watch a certain set of shows. When I'm not there, when I'm not able to watch the one thing I'm going to watch, I don't care what's happening every other minute of the day. If you give me service constantly, except when it's the one thing I want to watch, I don't get any value. And he was really baffled that I was complaining that the service failed when I was going to watch something. He's like, well, what do you want me to do? I was like, refund my month. He's like, why would I do that? I was like, because I didn't get the value out of it. He's like, well, maybe we'll credit you one day. Like, but I don't need a day of credit. This was more than one day for me. This is, I think at the time it was, like a weekly show or whatever. I'm like, this is at least a quarter of a month. I don't pay for all the other shitty channels that you have. When your service fails at critical times, that's all that matters to me, is that was the critical time. This is the most boomer complaint. You got to remember, this is before everything was on demand. There wasn't an on-demand thing. So they had these DVR boxes. And so your cable would actually come in and you had a box that could tune to like maximum of 4 channels at any given time. And it had to record, actually, I think it was only 2 channels. It had to physically record the actual show you wanted to watch. There wasn't like if you had 3 things on at the same time slot, too bad. You couldn't do it. So you had to, and it had to be connected. There was no on demand for it. And I think people forget the world we used to live in, because now it's just like, oh, you just go on Netflix or Hulu, or Charter has its or Spectrum or whatever. They have their own on-demand service. So you could just go on there and just bloop, 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 bloop. It'd be really easy. You couldn't do that Like, 14 years ago or whatever. Back in my day, we had TiVo. Yeah, TiVo. So, anyway, yeah. I got my month free, by the way. I was pissed. But imagine, like if I paid, Charter could have or Spectrum could have the best internet on the planet, but if it went down every day at 1 a.m. while I'm doing my show, it would be a huge bitch. Did it die again? Mid-statement? Mother hooker! Back in my day, we had the VCR. The VCR would tune into a channel for you. I had 4 or 5 hooked up at any given moment, recording my shows, my programs. Okay. Let's go back to the beginning of this paragraph, because I don't know what happened. Prior to Amazon's actions, Parler had over 12 million users under contract when Amazon terminated its services, as well as contracts with multiple advertisers. And Parler expected to add millions more in the coming weeks, given its growth the last few days it was online and the growing voice of conservatives encouraging their Twitter followers to switch to Parler, which would bring additional advertisers into contracts with Parler. Additionally, unlike Amazon Web Services / Amazon, Twitter, Google, and Facebook, Parler's business model enabled it to obtain advertising revenues without the user surveillance necessary to target ads to users based upon personal information collected by the platform, a feature very attractive to many users and hence to advertisers seeking to reach them. And because conservative voices were finding greater engagement on Parler than on other platforms, the number of users was expected to continue to increase significantly. Amazon knew about Parler's users and current trends. Amazon also knew that Parler was negotiating with it to increase its server capacity given this ongoing and expected growth. And Amazon further knew of public speculation that Trump, with his nearly 90 million Twitter followers, was going to switch to Parler, likely bringing tens of millions of followers with him, as well as the advertisers that targeted those followers. And Amazon knew that Trump had a Parler account and he had yet to activate, and that Parler was in negotiations with Trump's team about moving to Parler after he left office. Finally, Amazon knew from public statements that Parler was about to go to the market to raise money. Speaking of this, did you guys see this? Have you guys seen this on Gab? Sorry, this is a diversion. Stop it. Gab, the fuck? You guys seen this? Is that really Trump's account? I don't think it actually is. But it's at Real Donald Trump. It's a verified check mark. Do we have any info if this is actually Real Donald Trump? Or do we have form posting of statements by Donald Trump? It's not Trump. No, he didn't. Gab is full of shit. I don't know, man. I don't know if this is true. If that's not actually Trump and they verified the account, that may be an unfair, deceptive trade practice. I'm not Torba's lawyer, but if I were Torba's lawyer, I might tell him to knock that shit off real quick. It's a mirrored account. Yeah, if you verified that thing. I don't know, man. It should be called Real Donald Trump Archive, not Real Donald Trump. Read the about part. Reserved for the 45th President of the United States, his account is an uncensored Twitter archive and shares email statements sent by the office of Donald J. Trump. I don't know, man. I think that's walking a line to me. To me, it shouldn't be verified as real Donald Trump until it's actually real Donald Trump. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion. All right, here we go. Amazon intentionally interfered with Parler's current contracts and future expected customer relationships and advertising contracts in bad faith by terminating Parler's agreement with it under the pretext that Parler was in violation of that contract when Amazon knew Parler was not in violation and when Twitter was engaging in identical conduct, but Amazon did not terminate its contract with Twitter, and knowingly sending false allegations against Parler to the media. Amazon's willful interference was for the improper purpose of restraining trade in violation of the Sherman Act, assisting Twitter's attempts at monopolization in violation of the Sherman Act, gaining additional income in violation of their contracts, and or for political reasons in violation of their contracts with Parler. Resulting damage of Amazon's tortious interference is that Parler has lost millions of dollars in revenues and suffered reputational damage with the public at large and with its own users. Parler has also lost users who would have joined Parler except for Amazon's improper interference, but have now gone to competitors of Parler. Conduct was willful and malicious. Parler is entitled to actual and exemplary damages. Count 6, Washington Consumer Protection Act. Love-colored Master Spark. Yeah, I'm sure the verified symbol isn't an emoji in the name. I have the same verified symbol, and they put it on my account. Okay, Washington Consumer Protection Act. Amazon unfairly used Parler's dependence on Amazon before it terminated the contract to thwart Parler's expansion of its share of the global internet advertising market in which Amazon itself was competing. Washington's Consumer Protection Act provides that unfair methods of competition and unfair or deceptive acts or practices in the conduct of any trade or commerce are unlawful. The Act's purpose is to complement the body of federal law governing restraints of trade, unfair competition, unfair, deceptive, and fraudulent acts and practices in order to protect the public and foster fair and honest competition. And the Act is to be liberally construed that its beneficial purposes may be served. Further, the Act provides that every contract combination in the form of a trust or otherwise or conspiracy and restraint of trade or commerce is hereby declared unlawful. Under the Act, any person who is injured in his or her business or property by a violation of the Act may bring a civil suit for injunctive relief, damages, attorney's fees and costs, and treble damages. And to prevail in such a claim, plaintiff must prove 1, an unfair, deceptive act or practice occurring in trade or commerce, affecting the public interest, injury to the person's business or property, and causation. This is basically the same set as the first cause of action, which was the Washington Deceptive Practices Act. Amazon, Google, Facebook, and Twitter together account for over 50% of the $436 billion global internet advertising market. Before January 11th, Parler also actively competed for internet advertising on its app and web platforms. Moreover, Parler's ability to compete in that market was about to skyrocket as a result of Twitter's announcement that it had terminated former President Trump from the Twitter platform and President Trump's indication that he would move to the Parler platform along with a large share of his 89 million Twitter followers. It's been 90 million the entire document. Why did you switch to 89 million? Why did you do that? Bad Vibe says, Nick, with YouTube striking your content for CPAC, could that be antitrust as it prevents both the viewer's access to content and opinions by you and you for financial harm? Could it be antitrust? I don't know if it's antitrust. Maybe, but technically they haven't interfered with my ability to compete off of their platform, so I don't know if that counts. Let's see. This dramatically increased traffic on the Parler platform would have enabled Parler to substantially increase its sales of internet advertising with a concomitant reduction in advertising on platforms owned by Amazon as well as platforms owned by Google, Facebook, and Twitter. These 4 tech giants make money in this market in 2 ways. First, they track users to target ads to each user, and they charge advertisers more for targeted ads. Second, these companies collect and sell users' data. Together, these practices make up their surveillance capitalism business model. Parler, however, did not track its users, sell their data, or use targeted ads. I think this argument goes against Parler here. I'll talk about why in a second. This enabled Parler not only to offer more privacy to its users, but also to charge lower rates for advertisers on advertisements on its platform. This alternative business model posed a direct and serious threat to the surveillance capitalism model that generates massive profits for Amazon as well as Google, Facebook, and Twitter. I disagree. Hey, what's up, Tug? Welcome. I disagree with this because those advertisers want the targeted advertising. They want intelligent AI algorithmic advertising based on user desires. That's why they buy it. That's why they advertise on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. That's why they do it. That's why you get law firm ads on my show. They want that. That's what they're paying for. I don't think Parler was as serious of a market competitor as they're making themselves out to be, and I would wager that Amazon's response is going to point that out in regards to this. No, they're targeting a different market of advertisers. Advertisers who either don't want or cannot afford the advertisements that are based on user information. Because of this threat, Facebook, for example, began targeting Parler content on its platform in a way that it did not target Twitter content. Thus, identical postings on Parler and Twitter would be flagged as problematic in some way if they came from Parler, but not if they came from Twitter. In mid-December 2020, Twitter entered into a multi-year contract with Amazon under which Amazon would provide cloud computing services to Twitter in exchange for large sums of money. On information and belief, part of the unwritten agreement between Twitter and Amazon was that the latter would use its position as the provider to Parler, as the provider of Parler's cloud services to minimize Parler's threat to the internet advertising market. On January 8, 2021, Google banned the Parler app from its Play Store, making it difficult for new customers with phones using the Android operating system developed by Google to download and use the Parler app. This severely restrained Parler's ability to increase its internet advertising market. On January 9th, Amazon announced it would terminate its services to Parler, preventing all existing Parler users from accessing the app and completely removing Parler from the global internet advertising market. Subsequently, at about 12:10 a.m. on January 11th, Amazon made good on that threat and cut off all services to Parler, thereby removing Parler from that market and compromising its ability to compete in the market in the future. These actions restrained trade in and caused actual injury to competition in the global internet advertising market. Now, when I point out my counter argument that I think Amazon's going to bring up, not saying that it's the correct one, I do think that these companies worked in concert to shut Parler down. I just don't know that this is their strongest approach. And it's also their fifth or sixth cause of action. It's not their biggest argument. So I think they know it too. These concerted actions and their effects were not taken by accident. On information and belief, Amazon conspired with other entities to prevent Parler from increasing its share of the microblogging market and, concomitantly, its share of the internet advertising market. Amazon and its co-conspirators undertook these actions with the intention to restrain trade in the internet advertising market, again, by preventing Parler from obtaining a larger share of that market and losing the share it already and thus protecting Amazon and its co-conspirators' market shares. They left out a word there. There's supposed to be a word after already. Already had? Maybe? I don't know. Amazon's action in the global internet advertisement market was unfair. It affected the public interest because thousands of Washingtonians who are Parler users, could not use their Parler accounts and were deprived of accessing internet advertising, something even more important during a pandemic with lockdowns to traditional stores that was not targeted at them. Amazon's actions also compromised the ability of existing and future Parler users to use social media platform whose business model does not require constant user surveillance. Amazon caused severe economic injury to Parler by depriving it of millions of dollars of advertising revenues and by preventing Parler from getting online, which injury Amazon knew would occur given Parler's dependency on Amazon and the time it would take for Parler to not only find a new service provider, but also migrate its website to that provider and attempt to recover from the reputational injury it had suffered at Amazon's hands. Amazon's actions, which were taken in bad faith, violated the Washington Consumer Protection Act, including but not limited to Statute 1986-30. Parler is entitled to damages, attorney's fees, and costs, and treble damages. Count 7! We're moving through this. Hit dislike. Shadows King, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me, Shadows King? Count 7, Washington Consumer Protection Act. Amazon unfairly and falsely criticized Parler's moderation system as a way to preserve its market share in the global cloud services infrastructure market after Amazon decided to eject Parler from its system. Washington Consumer Protection Act provides that unfair methods of competition, unfair or deceptive acts or practices in the conduct of any trade or commerce are unlawful. Purposes to complement the body. We already read that same description. It's the same group. This is just a different cause of action under the same act. Further, the act provides that it shall be unlawful for any person to monopolize or attempt to monopolize or combine or conspire with any other person or persons to monopolize any part of trade or commerce. So we went from a trust to now a monopoly. Further, wait. Under the act, any person who is injured in his or her business or property by a violation of the act may bring civil suit, blah, 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 with same exact cause of action. Amazon is the largest and one of just three integrated cloud service infrastructure providers in the market, making up 57% of the global integrated cloud service infrastructure market. This market provides not just web hosting, but the full services necessary to be online, as well as scalable infrastructure that enables companies to use more or less server capacity based on changing needs. On January 9th, Amazon announced it would indefinitely suspend Parler's service, falsely claiming that Parler was unable or unwilling to remove content that encouraged or incites violence against others. They publicly leaked that email to BuzzFeed, where it received much play in the media, and it did so with the intent of harming Parler. All of this I agree with. As a foreseeable result of these actions and public statements by Amazon, Parler could not find an integrated cloud service infrastructure provider to host it and its millions of users. These actions and public statements thus ensured that Amazon would not lose market share in this market by a competitor stepping in to provide those services to Parler. Amazon's actions thus were unfair and deceptive in nature, causing tremendous injury to Parler. Of course, Amazon's counter argument is, yeah, but you're on one now though, bro. You're up now. That'll be their counter argument. Again, I'm not saying that that's a viable thing, but that's part of their argument is, hey, but you're on one, so you found it. We didn't make it take longer. You guys didn't find one fast enough. Guys, you can hit dislike all day, but I can't see them. So if you hit 1,000 dislikes, I won't even know. That's the problem with them. YouTube doesn't show me because it only likes positive reinforcement. Because we streamers are delicate. Additionally, Amazon's actions affected the public interest given that thousands of Washingtonians who had Parler accounts were unable to communicate via Parler. Amazon eliminated competition in the market, and many other current and former Amazon customers face the threat of similar anti-competitive conduct. Upon information and belief, Amazon engaged in these actions in an attempt to monopolize a part of trade or commerce and to conspire with other entities to enable them to monopolize a part of trade or commerce. That's a conclusory statement. Amazon's actions, which were taken in bad faith, violated the Protection Act. Parler is entitled to damages, attorney's fees, costs, and treble damages. Count 8. Seattle Fair Contracting Practices Ordinance. So here we go to a city ordinance. Amazon violated the ordinance by discriminating against Parler in its contracting decisions on the basis of Parler's perceived political ideology and the political content published on Parler's platform. The City of Seattle has enacted a fair contracting practices ordinance that declares it to be an unfair contracting practice for any business enterprise to discriminate against any person with respect to the conditions, terms, price, or performance standards or other provisions of a contract. Under the ordinance, Parler is a person and Amazon is a business enterprise. Under the ordinance, to discriminate means any act, whether by itself or as part of a practice, the effect of which is to adversely affect or differentiate between or among individuals or groups of individuals by reason of political ideology. And political ideology means any belief, any idea or belief, or coordinated body of ideas or beliefs related to the purpose, conduct, organization, function, or basis of government and related institutions and activities, whether or not characteristic of any political party or group. This term includes membership in a political party or group and includes conduct reasonably related to political ideology, which does not interfere with job performance, and Parler's contract with Amazon was a contract as defined in the Fair Contracting Practices Ordinance. Do you guys believe that in Seattle, there is a law in Seattle that says you can't discriminate based on political ideology? That's a shocker to me. I really wonder how much teeth this thing has. Amazon only raised concerns about Parler after it looked like then-President Trump would join Parler and bring millions of conservative Twitter users with him. In fact, the Amazon representative who was repeatedly inquiring into whether Trump was going to come to Parler was, by her Twitter account, a rabid Joe Biden fan. Further, Amazon employees pressured Amazon and Amazon Web Services to drop Parler, claiming credit for the move. See Ashley Stewart and Eugene Kim. Some Amazon employees are taking credit for Parler's ban. Additionally, quote, some Amazon employees who have speculated the decision was driven by a combination of employee unrest and major customers complaining to company leadership. The largest customers have executive sponsors who they can call directly in many cases, and Jassy, CEO of Amazon Web Services himself. One former senior Amazon Web Services employee said the decision to boot Parler broke new ground in terms of the company's enforcement actions. Yeah, the political affiliation law in California was really only has teeth in regards to gay rights. That's where the teeth on that statement, on that statute lie. Other than that, it's really not very strong. One of Amazon's major customers, and only pro-gay rights. So they mean political affiliation, but only as far as it means pro-gay rights. One of Amazon's major customers is Twitter. Not only did Twitter CEO tweet his approval of Amazon's actions against Parler, but President Biden was a clear favorite of Twitter employees when it came to campaign donations during the 2020 election. And Twitter employee donations to Democrat versus Republicans was a 98% to 2% split. Big tech companies landed top posts on the Biden-Harris transition team, with at least 9 different Biden transition team members or advisors having previously held positions at Facebook, Google, or Twitter. Several transition team members worked in the Obama administration before joining one of the tech giants and then later re-entering politics as part of the Biden team. Does this surprise anybody? And it wasn't just Twitter. Quote, donors and political action committees affiliated with Amazon and other big tech companies are through their money behind former President Joe Biden, Biden's presidential campaign. Former Vice President Joe Biden's presidential campaign. They needed to bracket out this R as well. Because it was R throwing. This was before. In fact, employees of Google's parent, Alphabet Inc., and Microsoft Corp., Amazon Inc., Apple Inc., and Facebook Inc. were the 5 largest sources of money for Mr. Biden's campaign and joint fundraising committees among those identifying corporate employers, according to a Wall Street Journal analysis of campaign finance reports. So big tech funded Joe Biden. Big shocker. Big tech funded him. Big tech censored his opponent. It is not surprising then that news has emerged of efforts by big tech to stop Trump. For example, Twitter and Facebook decided to deny the then president a platform to put out his message. But it was an open secret that Trump's next platform would very likely be Parler. What is more, big tech is worried about what a Biden administration might do, and so has sought to curry favor with it. Thus, in early January, quote, big tech has moved swiftly to ban President Donald Trump from social media platforms and crush the upstart right-wing Twitter alternative Parler. That's from The Intercept. The crackdown was celebrated by Democrats across the political spectrum, precisely the audience big tech now needs to please. Referring to the Georgia Senate elections, one Democrat operative observed, "It has not escaped my attention that the day social media companies decided there actually is more they could do to police Trump was the same day they learned Democrats would chair all the congressional committees that oversee them." Pressure from congressional Democrats has been mounting on big tech for the last few years. For example, in April 2019, after a congressional hearing directed at online hate speech and white nationalist content, Democratic Congressman Cedric Richmond, now a top White House advisor, informed big tech companies that they had better restrict what he and other members of Congress deemed as harmful content, or we're going to make regulations swift, we're going to make it strong, and we're going to hold them very accountable. Democratic Congressman and chair of the House Judiciary Committee, Jerry Nadler, added, "Let's see what happens by just pressuring them." That same month, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi warned that a new era of regulating tech giants was coming and Section 230 could be in jeopardy. Speaker Pelosi further commented that the era of self-regulation in this country for big tech is probably over and that when we come to 230, you really get their attention. It is not out of the question that that could be removed because for the privilege of 230, there has to be a bigger sense of responsibility on it. Democrats want to remove 230 to force big tech to censor Republicans. That's great. That's a great thing. And they're open about it. In June, Republicans are never open about anything. Democrats always just say what they mean. It's a huge failing of the Republican Party. In June 2020, Speaker Pelosi declared that social media executives have utterly failed to stop the spread of disinformation on their platforms. And she then warned that Congress and others must send a message to social media executives, you will be held accountable for your misconduct. Misinformation is not illegal, and it's not speech the government can regulate. Not at all. But, you know, who's policing the police of speech? In July 2020, a House Antitrust Committee questioned the CEOs of the biggest tech internet platforms, including Jeff Bezos of Amazon, as to whether those platforms were engaging in monopolistic or other anti-competitive conduct in violation of federal antitrust laws. At these hearings, Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin accused the tech companies of not taking strong enough action to block the rapid spread of hate messages online, the presence of Boogaloo and other right-wing extremist groups trying to infiltrate and disrupt Black Lives Matter protests, and the fact that alt-right racist and anti-Semitic content flourishes on Facebook. The subcommittee report, which proposed sweeping antitrust measures that, if acted upon, would have drastic economic consequences for big tech platforms, including Amazon Web Services, expressly flagged the failure of big tech to curb such content as supposed evidence of the lack of meaningful competition in their markets. The implication of these remarks was that big tech platforms' failure to take stronger action to block content Democratic congressmen deemed dangerous would increase the likelihood of a Democratic administration pursuing devastating antitrust remedies against the big tech giants. In October 2020, the Senate Commerce Committee held another congressional... So what they're doing here, this is long and boring section. They're establishing that this is political speech that's being censored in violation of Seattle's Act. That's what they're going for. In October 2020, the Senate Commerce Committee held another congressional hearing at the failure of big tech to curb hate speech and misinformation online, voting to subpoena big tech CEOs if they didn't agree to testify voluntarily. The committee once again threatened adverse legal consequences against the major tech platforms, with Democratic committee members again focusing on the need for more content moderation. Are we still pretending that big tech is doing this as a private company? Are we still there? Are people still saying, it's just a private company, bruh? Do people still believe The big tech's regulation is entirely because they're a private company. The next month, in November 2020, President-elect Biden announced that Congressman Richmond, rejoining the White House in January 2021, served as a senior advisor to the president. And Facebook is under the close eye of the Biden administration, which has signaled its displeasure with Facebook's handling of its platforms in the months leading to the election. It is no coincidence that Amazon didn't move to muzzle Parler until after the Georgia Senate runoff election showed that the Democratic Party would control both houses of Congress and the White House. Senator Richard Blumenthal even attributed the actions by big tech in early January to a shift in the political winds. And on January 8th, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna tweeted that Parler is hosted by Amazon Web Services, and Amazon should deny Parler services until January 2021 unless they commit to removing all posts related to incitement of violence concerning inauguration. And Amazon obliged, but willfully ignored Parler's successful efforts. Upon information and belief, Amazon discriminated against Parler due to the conservative content of its users that its users frequently posted, as well as to deny then President Trump a platform to espouse his political views. Amazon did this to curry favor, both with their own employees and with the incoming Biden administration, as well as out of the organization's own dominant political ideology. Amazon and Amazon Web Services were not, however, acting pursuant to any federal or state laws, and Parler is not seeking any redress against any government official whose statements and or actions may have played a role in these companies' decisions about Parler. As described above, the political discrimination against Parler violated Seattle's Fair Contracting Practices Ordinance. Parler has been injured by the unfair contracting practices of Amazon and Amazon Web Services. Under the ordinance, Parler is entitled to lost profits, attorney's fees, and actual and exemplary damages. Okay. Breach of contract. Amazon violated sections 3.1 and 3.2 of the parties of the contract by selling Parler's user data to third parties. This is interesting to me. Under Washington law, a breach of contract is actionable only if the contract imposes a duty, the duty is breached, and the breach proximately causes damage to the claimant. Each of those elements is satisfied here. As to duty, the contract imposes a duty on Amazon that it, quote, will implement reasonable and appropriate measures designed to help you secure Parler's content against accidental or unlawful loss, access, or disclosure. Additionally, the contract imposes a duty on Amazon that Amazon, quote, will not disclose Parler's content to any government or third party, except in each case as necessary to comply with the law or a binding order of a governmental body. Amazon has breached these duties in bad faith as Parler has discovered that Amazon has been secretly selling Parler's user data, specifically images and video, to whomever has an Amazon S3 account and is willing to pay to download it. Thus, Amazon is sharing Parler user data in violation of Amazon's contract with Parler and profiting to boot. And no law or government body has required such profiteering. Amazon's actions proximately cause severe reputational and financial harm to Parler, as users will no longer trust Parler to keep their private data safe. They will both cause Parler to lose current users, but also make it harder for Parler to obtain future users, significantly reducing Parler's advertising revenues. Count 10. Tortious interference with the contract or business expectancy. By selling Parler's user data after it terminated the Parler contract, Amazon intentionally interfered with Parler's contracts with current and future users. Good job, Amazon. Under Washington law, so this is another one, another TI. Under Washington law, to establish this, we already talked about this. Same requirements. Amazon knew that Parler had contracts with its millions of current users and expected to enter into contracts with millions more in near future, given how quickly Parler was bringing on new users. After the termination, Amazon intentionally interfered in bad faith with those current and future users by secretly selling the data. specifically images and video. Amazon's actions have caused Parler to breach its contracts with its current users, as it has allowed these users' private data to be obtained by third parties without the user's consent. So this is a different theory of the tortious interference, saying that it forced Parler to breach its contract with users. So not just by preventing users access to Parler, but now saying it caused Parler to breach. So an interesting separate tortious interference. This will also cause many future users not to sign up for a Parler account for fear that Parler will likewise not be able to protect their data. Amazon sold this data to harm Parler, making Amazon's tortious interference one of improper purpose, as pertinent here. Moreover, Amazon's conduct did not relate to or arise out of its contract with Parler, nor any of Amazon's products or services. Amazon's actions caused severe reputational and financial harm to Parler, as users will no longer trust Parler to keep their private data safe. This will both cause Parler to lose current users, but also make it harder for Parler to obtain future users, significantly reducing Parler's advertising revenues. Count 11, Washington Consumer Protection Act. This is the same stuff, same laws, but different causes of action. You guys are fighting in the chat over likes and dislikes. Rude. Very rude. After the termination, Amazon engaged in additional deceptive and unfair trade practices, injuring Parler. Washington Consumer Protection Act provides that unfair deceptive acts or practices in the conduct of any trade or commerce are unlawful. Same elements as before. After terminating its contract with Parler, Amazon engaged in an unfair deceptive series of acts and practices in bad faith in the course of trade or commerce that caused substantial injury to Parler. Further, Amazon's acts and practices were and are harmful to the public interest. After terminating Parler's services and the contract between them, Amazon continued to inhibit Parler's ability to compete in the microblogging and digital advertising markets by facilitating the hacking of Parler's backup servers. And by selling the private data of Parler's users, these actions inflicted enormous competitive harm on Parler and further delayed its ability to recover the revenues and potential market value it enjoyed and reasonably anticipated before Amazon's actions. Amazon's series of acts and practices was deceptive and unfair. Amazon deceived Parler into believing that once services were terminated, Amazon would take no further actions that would harm Parler. Amazon also deceived Parler into believing that Parler's user data was safe with Amazon. Amazon's unfair and deceptive acts and practices impact the public interest. Among other things, through these acts and practices, millions of Americans' voices were silenced, including thousands in Washington. Further, thousands of Washingtonians' Parler data was secretly sold, compromising their privacy. As pertinent here, Amazon's conduct did not relate to or arise out of its contract with Parler, nor any of Amazon's products or services. Amazon's unfair and deceptive acts and practices have resulted in substantial damages to Parler, including but not limited to the loss of millions of dollars of revenue from advertisement. Count 12, negligence. What is going on with Nick's hair? What are you talking about? By negligently directing hackers to Parler's backup databases after it terminated the Parler contract, Amazon caused massive financial and reputational harm to Parler. To prove negligence in Washington requires 4 elements: the existence of a duty, breach of duty, resulting injury, and proximate cause. Amazon, possessing as it did the technical ability to harm Parler as its former customer, possessed at least a duty of reasonable care to avoid causing Parler injury, if not a heightened duty of care given its ability to harm Parler in a way that other entities not providing Parler services could not. Amazon breached that duty when, after shutting off all of its services to Parler, Amazon negligently left open Route 53. So this is basically an argument in the alternative. Either they did it on purpose or they did it negligently. Both caused harm. Both caused harm. Are you guys going to get to 1,000 likes? I don't know if you're going to do it today. Amazon breached that duty when, after shutting, they left open Route 53, a highly scalable domain name system, which conveniently directed hackers to Parler's backup data centers and allowed the hackers to initiate a sizable DNS attack. In other words, Amazon essentially illuminated a large neon arrow directing hackers to Parler's backup data centers. And the hackers got the message, launching an extremely large attack, one 250 times larger and 12 to 24 times longer than the average direct denial of service attack, DDoS. Later, Amazon terminated the Route 53 link, but the damage was done. Thus, Amazon proximately caused this hacking attack and the damage to Parler's ability to enter into service contracts with other providers, which resulted in Parler being unable to get back online. Amazon was not only negligent, it also acted in bad faith. This Amazon facilitated attack functioned as a threat to all future data centers that, if they were to host Parler, they would be attacked by unprecedented hacks. Lead hacks even. Amazon created the toxic notoriety of massive hacking attacks for Parler, driving away nearly all other hosting services that Parler had hoped to use. As pertinent here, Amazon's conduct did not relate to or arise out of its contract with Parler, nor any of Amazon's product or services. This negligence has resulted in significant injury to Parler, massively delaying Parler's ability to get back online, directly depriving Parler of millions of dollars of advertising revenue, and harming Parler's reputation and ability to attract users, which users are now flocking to other platforms. Parler is therefore entitled to damages. Count 13. TI with a contractor business expectancy again. Another tortious interference count. Where is the evidence, though? That's a good question, Jeff. That's something that they'll have to lay out in discovery. But here's something that's true. This is a good strategy on the Route 53 thing. Either, yes, we have hit 1,000 likes. I am pouring my shot now. Either Amazon intentionally left open Route 53 and caused the hack, or Amazon negligently left open Route 53. One of those two things is true. This is the Compass Box Pete Monster Arcana. Not a big fan. It's not the worst thing. Woo! There we go. Next, by directing hackers to Parler's backup databases after terminating the Parler contract, Amazon intentionally and maliciously interfered with expected future contracts. Okay, so we have TI elements again. Amazon knew that as soon as it booted Parler, Parler would seek an alternative hosting service. Thus, Amazon knew of the business expectancy Parler would have with another hosting service. So this isn't based on existing. Sorry, that Pete Monster came right back up with a nasty tasting burp. Whoa! Blech. Jason, the Great Awakening. Yeah, I agree that the security is their whole business model and it's integral to the contract. However, if they can't prove intent, then negligence is a great theory. Okay, so this is a slightly different TI claim, because the original TI claim was with existing contracts, but now they're saying this is with a business expectancy. Amazon knew that Parler would be seeking alternative sources. So this isn't with an existing contract. It's a little bit different. After Amazon shut off all services to Parler, Amazon intentionally left open Route 53, a highly scalable domain name system, which directed hackers to Parler's backup data centers, caused the hackers to initiate a sizable DNS attack. The problem that they have here, and I don't know how much this problem will affect the outcome of the case, okay? So I'm not saying this is fatal in any way, but the problem that they have here is that a criminal act of hacking might be an intervening cause to the proximate cause of Parler being left vulnerable. I know that sounds weird, but Amazon can't induce someone to engage in illegal activity by accident. So that act could be an intervening act that supersedes Amazon's negligence. That would be an argument I would make in this case for Amazon. One of the arguments is I would say, you know what? The acts of hackers are a superseding act that could not be foreseen by Amazon or controlled. That would be part of the argument. So after, Anyway, Amazon acted in bad faith, and the hackers got the message, launching an extremely large attack, 250 times larger, blah, 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 blah. This Amazon facilitated attack was an intentionally facilitated threat by Amazon to all future data centers that, if they were to host Parler, they would be attacked by unprecedented hacks. In short, Amazon intentionally and maliciously created a toxic notoriety of massive hacking attacks for Parler, driving away nearly all other hosting services that Parler had hoped to use, thereby interfering the Parler's ability to engage in those critical business relationship. The Parler. They've now moved into Chad mode, where they refer to themselves in the third person and in the distant third person as the Parler. There's no legitimate reason for Amazon to intentionally leave open Route 53 and direct hackers to Parler's backup data center. Amazon did so to harm Parler. It thus intentionally and maliciously interfered with Parler's expected future business and service providers by improper means for an improper purpose. As pertinent here, Amazon's conduct did not relate to or arise out of the contract. Because of the actions, Parler suffered substantial damage, blah, blah. Millions of dollars in ad revenue, reputational damage, millions of future users, blah, 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 blah. They need money. Washington Consumer Protection Act. Again, Amazon unfairly used their dependence on Amazon after it terminated the contract to thwart their expansion of its share in the global internet advertising market, which Amazon itself was competing. Consumer Protection Act. Same elements. We're skipping all this. Every contract combination in the form of trust or otherwise is conspiracy is unlawful. Anybody injured, blah, 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 blah. Amazon, Google, Facebook, and Twitter. For January 11th, Parler also actively competed for internet advertising on its app and web platforms. Moreover, Parler's ability to compete in that market was about to skyrocket because Trump has dramatically increased the traffic on the Parler platform, blah, 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 blah. Four tech giants make money in the market in two ways. These are the same paragraphs. They're copy and pasted. I'm skipping them. After Amazon terminated its contract with Parler and Parler Services, they continued to inhibit their ability to compete in the global internet advertising market by facilitating the hacking. Facilitated hacking. They restrained trade. Concerted actions and their effects were not undertaken by accident. Amazon conspired with other entities to prevent Parler from taking advantage of Twitter's decision to terminate Trump's Twitter account, thereby preventing Parler from dramatically increasing its share. Amazon and its co-conspirators undertook these actions with the intention to restrain trade in the internet advertising market, again, by preventing Parler from obtaining a larger share of that market and losing the share it already, and thus protected by it already. They literally copied and pasted this line because they don't have fucking had there. That's just pissing me off now. Already had. Had. Amazon's action, the global internet advertising market was unfair. It affected the public interest, blah, blah. These are copy and pasted lines. I'm skipping them. Getting annoyed. Washington Consumer Protection Act. Again, unfairly compromised Parler's reputation after it terminated as a way to preserve its market share. Same thing. I'm skipping it. I'm not even going to read it. It's the same thing, just different stuff. Prayer for relief. Oh, thank Christ. I'm dying. It's so hot in my office. I'm itchy. I'm angry. They literally copied typos, guys. Praise for judgment against Amazon. Provide a jury trial on any issue triable by a jury. Grant Parler damages, including trebled and exemplary damages, in amount to be determined at trial. Attorney's fees and costs. Other such relief as the court deems just and proper. Okay. This lawsuit was written by this guy, Angelo Calfo. Angelo Calfo was on the original team. However, the person who wrote The original team was these guys. These guys wrote the original. No, wait. This guy? It doesn't matter. Angelo was on the other team, but he didn't write the other document. One of these assholes did. The other document was worse, although they had a short timeline on it. A very short timeline. So I'm not holding them responsible for the other one being bad. I think they actually had a good claim. I think they made the best argument that they could in like the one day that they had to make it. I think the boomer judge boomered this case and caused Parler irreparable harm. That judge, honestly, let's be fucking real here. That judge owed Parler a temporary injunction that said that Amazon needed to give Parler 30 days. That's all they needed to do. You need to give Parler 30 days, like your contract says, like you promise him. You promised them that if they were going to be terminated, they would have 30 days of uptime. You need to guarantee that 30 days. You promised it in your contract, you fuckers. That is what the court owed Parler. Because the court didn't do that, Parler is literally dead. Had Parler gotten that injunction, they would have been down for 3 or 4 days. Something like that. That's all the court had to do. We're not going to make Amazon keep you up indefinitely, and Parler's going to pay you for it, and everybody's going to know that the court ordered Amazon to do it, so you won't suffer any reputational damage. You can keep them up for 30 days like your contract says, you pieces of shit. Jimmy Carter placed the Judge Wolvenar. I know. Carter placed them. That's all they had to do. The balance of harm against Parler in that case was so astronomically high. And the judge is like, well, they might spread misinformation. Hey, judge, fuck you. Misinformation is part of the goddamn point of free speech. Eat shit. Go die, you old bag. I'm so damn tired of this. Misinformation is part of free speech. There's no point protecting true information. It's not a real thing. Free speech doesn't matter if it only protects everything everyone likes. What the fuck is so hard about this? It's only in goddamn decades of jurisprudence from the Supreme Court. It's only every free speech case possible. It's the reason a guy could wear fuck the draft during the Vietnam draft in a fucking courthouse. He's in a courtroom and he puts on a jacket that says fuck the draft. If you walk into court today, literally, you walk in right now, you got a traffic ticket and you wear a shirt that says fuck traffic tickets, that judge will likely hold you in contempt of court. And you can sue the fucking judge. You can be like, that old naked bastard under his stupid robes who's masturbating the entire time owes me a fucking right to wear this shirt. That piece of shit garbage the law demands that I can wear a shirt that says fuck traffic tickets in court. Fuck him. He has to have a goddamn reason to have me not wear a shirt. And there is no reason for him to say not wear that shirt that has political commentary on it, because that's the First Amendment. If the First Amendment only protected traffic tickets are great, if it only protected the soy-filled fucking cucks at Engadget and Gizmodo, nobody would care about it. It's for people who are brazen. It's for people who are brash. It's for people who question the goddamn authority. Mike Dunford's Twitter handle is Quest Authority, as in question authority. This motherfucker has never questioned authority in his life. His wife pegs him every fucking day. He's like, I would never question your right to peg me, mistress. Please don't go bang other men. And she goes, lol, I'm gonna, Lamau, and then reams the hell out of him and then goes get pounded by Tyrone. Of course, free speech demands the protection of offensive speech of lies, of misinformation, of racism. Of course it does. If it didn't, it wouldn't have any fucking value. These goddamn fucking judges are so pathetic. They don't know the basic reasons that we have an amendment in the first place. No one needs to agree on the truth. It's the fucking truth. Everybody needs a little dose of Alex Jones in that ass. That's why he exists, and that's why the First Amendment exists, and I'm so fucking tired of it! Sorry. I apparently had something to get off my chest. Ah! I can't countenance it. Look, I was talking to Mark Randazza the other day. I'm still trying to get Mark Randazza on stream. Because I've had my back and forth with Mark, with his with Woolman, with Jay Woolman. I've had my back and forth with them. You know why I actually want to have Mark Randazza on my stream? Like, one of the main reasons. This is literally true. In the heat of one of my inebriated rants, I called Jay Woolman a nasty name. Now, there are two options here. One, if Jay Woolman is legit a gay, because I called him an F-slur, okay? If he's legitimately gay, I will go against every principle I have, and I will apologize directly for saying the F-slur. Because it has, when I said that about Jay Woolman, it had nothing to do with his sexual orientation. I don't do that. I don't actually use slurs against people when they realize, when like they matter or make sense. Does that make sense? If Jay Woolman's not gay, I will tell Mark Randazza flat out that I fully stand by my statement because he was being an F slur. Okay? So I want to suss this out. I want to work this thing out. That's why I want to have Mark on stream. Part of it. But the main reason to have Mark on stream, because I don't like leaving things unsaid. The main reason I want to have Mark on stream is because Mark Randazza has defended the worst of the worst. He's defended pornographers. He's defended people like Alex Jones. He's defended racists. He has defended everybody. And that is the front line of speech. That's it. That's it. Speech doesn't ever matter when it's easy. Speech always matters when it's hard. If we're not protecting what's hard, why do we bother? And that fucking judge in the Parler case is like, oh, people might be uncomfortable. Oh, there might be misinformation. What are we talking about if we're not talking about protecting misinformation? YouTube went through and purged every single Trump CPAC speech they could find. They purged all of them. Right Side Broadcasting Network, 2 weeks. A 2-week ban. For what? Right Side Broadcasting Network wasn't even commentating on CPAC. I looked at their stream. They were literally just airing it. They had their own camera. They had a reporter there. Physically fucking went there. Hats off to RSBN, by the way. I wish I could physically go to CPAC. I wish I could physically go as a member of the press to some of these events. I can't. I have a family. That's, by the way, let me be clear. That's the thing that's holding me back from some of this stuff. I can't be traveling all the goddamn time. I can't do it. I'd love to go to some of these events, but I got kids and I like my kids. I really do. I don't want to be gone all day, every day. I don't want to be in Washington covering this stuff. I don't want to be in Florida covering this stuff. If I can't take at least Lady Rackets, and if not Lady Rackets plus my kids, I don't want to go. I like them. I chose them. They were a choice of mine, and I stand by that choice and always will. But that being said, RSBN sent some poor asshole to CPAC, and he had to sit through all of the boomerism, all of the bad speeches, all of the book ads at CPAC to get to that juicy nut of Donald Trump's speech. And then they air a speech. And because they dared to air a speech, YouTube censors them. And we're sitting here holding our nuts in our hands going, what about that First Amendment though? They're like, but it's only government. Who fucking cares that it's only government? Don't you care about the principle? Don't you care about the reason that the founders had a First Amendment? By the way, the First Amendment was much lower protection when the founders passed it because it didn't apply to a single state, a single city, a single county, anything else. Only the federal government. But guess what? They believed so vehemently in the right to speak that they restrained as far as they could. The 14th Amendment didn't exist at the time. So it literally was only stopping Congress because that's the maximum effect that the founders could have at the federal level. This is before the Civil War. Federal government was weaker. They enacted the maximum amount of protection, but they argued and advocated in the Federalist Papers for the principle behind that protection. The right to question, to petition, to challenge. Thomas Paine is one of the fucking founders, an atheist in a time where every single colony had a state-mandated religion. Thomas Paine is writing pamphlets about freedom. And these religious founders are reading those pamphlets, and they're buying it, and they're defending it. And here we are, we're like, oh, misinformation. Bitch, have you seen old newspaper stories? All protected. All of them. There was no vetting of newspapers in 1870, by the way. There was no vetting of newspapers in 1785. The newspapers printed literally whatever they wanted. There's no fucking AP fact check. There was no Truth Council from Twitter with the honor of implementing truth and suppressing misinformation. It was literally a journalist, a newspaper had to earn your trust. You had to trust the person writing the article. You had to trust the institution that hired the person that wrote the article. You had to trust One American News Network. You had to trust Fox News. You had to trust CNN. You had to trust MSNBC. Imagine if these pieces of shit had to compete in a fucking world of trust. Imagine it. They'd be blown out of the water. Nobody trusts Rachel Maddow. You can't even trust Rachel Maddow's fucking gender. Is that Rachel or Ryan? I don't even know. I don't even know what they want to be. I can't trust their gender. How can I trust their fucking writing? How can I trust their opinion? They don't even know what they are. Look at them. Is that a dude? Still don't know. Still don't know. You know you can trust? A lot of people can trust a Glenn Beck. A lot of different people can trust a Steven Crowder. A lot of different people can trust an Alex Jones. You know why they can trust him? This is something people don't understand. If I'm looking at Alex Jones, I can tell when he's being ridiculous. I can tell when he's being serious. You know how I can tell? So I can read people. I can trust my intuition. When I look at Anderson Cooper, I have no idea. I have no idea because I don't trust that person at all. I don't trust Anderson Cooper ever on anything. Feels like a shill to me. You know what? I guarantee you Alex Jones is not a shill for anybody but Alex Jones. I guarantee you Steven Crowder is not a shill for anybody but Steven Crowder. As much as I don't like Matt Walsh, I guarantee you Matt Walsh is not a shill for anybody but Matt Walsh. So when I read a Matt Walsh article, I go, I know this is bullshit because I know Matt Walsh. Not really. I understand him. I understand Matt Walsh's biases. I understand where he's coming from. I know where his argument is rooted. And I go, okay, I can suss that out. That's what I hope to provide to everybody who watches my show. I'm going to tell you where I'm biased. You know I'm always going to come down on the side of speech. Always, 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 every time. That's what I care about. If an advertiser has me advertising something on the platform, you know for a fact I'm going to come down on the side of speech. I'm not going to choose an advertiser who limits what I'm going to say. If they do have some sort of limit on what I'm going to say, I'm going to tell you what the limit is. And by the way, I have a non-disparagement agreement with these people. I have a I'll tell you. I'll flatly tell you. You can always, I try to always foster my honest opinions on everything, open and honest. And you guys get to weigh it out because that's what speech is. Speech is not having some unknown curator or arbiter of truth. Who's the fact checker? Well, there's a fact check by the Associated Press. Well, who is that asshole? I don't know anything about them. Have they ever played pool? Have they ever been kicked in the fucking dick? I've been kicked in the dick, and it hurts. I know what it's like. Have they? Do they have one? If they have a dick or not, that's going to inform my opinion about them. Doesn't mean I'm going to say they're wrong, but I need to know about it. I need to know what's going on. I don't know who the fact checker is. I don't know anything about these people. Anyway, I'm ranting on this way too long. I'm pissed off. We're not going to have time to get to the Chauvin thing tonight. Hope you'll forgive me. But I'm so tired of this idea that we need to have less speech. Less speech. Oh, we need to moderate speech. Moderate what? That's not moderation. It's censorship. Just stop fucking lying with language. Why don't I like Matt Walsh? Because a lot of his opinions are stupid. That's all. Some of his opinions are good. A lot of them are dumb. But what I like about Matt Walsh, like when I say I don't like Matt Walsh, I don't like some of Matt Walsh's opinions. What I like about Matt Walsh, he's honest to who he is. You know exactly what you're going to get when you're reading a Matt Walsh article. If I'm reading a Matt Walsh article on abortion, I know exactly the take I'm going to get every single time. Of course I do. That's what makes Matt Walsh popular. That's what makes him good. He's consistent. Didn't even bring up Ben Shapiro. That's because Ben Shapiro said the same speech 40 times faster than me. Anyway. This is y'all's fault. I'm drinking too much liquor. Ben is short. Who cares what he has to say? Lemon Party nails it. Tucker Carlson doesn't make great faces when people say stupid shit. Tucker Carlson makes great faces all the time. That man's face is a national treasure. His facial musculature, when he dies, should be sent to the Smithsonian so we can see this forever. That's Tucker Carlson's listening face. And it says to me, are you serious, asshole? Stop placing the blame on us. No, I can't. You guys drive me to drink literally with likes. You literally drive me to drink with likes. How am I supposed to resist? You guys click the like button. I go ahead and drink. It's a law of nature. Look, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to give the unpopular opinion right now. I like Ben Shapiro. I really do. He's a cute little guy. I like him. But I would rather listen to his voice come out of Abby Shapiro. If we're talking about video, anyway. Change your layout, producer man. Change my layout for what? Okay, anyway. Anyway. Oh, is my autofocus on? Damn it. Fucking autofocus. Why? Why would it be on? I turn it off every time. Okay. I come here for your drunken truths. It's like everything I want to say, but with more whiskey. Oh. Yeah. Well. We all need a little liquid honesty sometimes. Coming to America Part 2 is on Amazon. We'll probably watch it Saturday. Let's do this. Let's read chats and wrap up. When will you play and stream Valheim? I don't know. Gotta hate crafting. Already, see Goody, by the time I read the chats, it's going to be 2 a.m. Where's your Chauvin coverage? I lied. You can trust that when I get onto a drunken rant, I'm not going to be able to do the coverage I wanted. The Chauvin questionnaire I will do. It's just 14 pages, and if I start it tonight, there's no way we finish it. You should play Dark Alliance 2 from PS2. Mark my words, I agree. Can I get it on PC? I will edit the title Angry Baneling. Oh, guys. Let me tell you about this. I talked to locals again today. I love locals, by the way. They are fantastic. They're great. One of the things I've wanted to do on Patreon, but I can't. I can't do it because Patreon's terms of service won't let me. One of the things I've wanted to do on Patreon forever is I want to pick a tier on Patreon and give away like a shirt or something every month. Monthly. Have a little randomized selection. Say, hey, so-and-so is the Patreon-y tier whatever of the month. They're going to get this. I want to do that. Patreon says you can't do that. You cannot use it. Talk to locals today. Locals says, yeah, I don't see why you can't do that. The fuck? So, once locals is fully implemented, we will have monthly giveaways for random people on locals at a certain tier. And this will all be very publicly displayed. And there will be monthly giveaways. Because, like, I've wanted to give a thank you to Patreon supporters this entire time. And Patreon literally, in their terms, will not let me do it. The best I could do was at Christmas, for December, I gave everybody free access to Patreon and Subscribe Star. That was the best I could do. But what I want to do is every month, I want to give away something. So, as a thank you from me to you. So that's going to do something with, and I'm going to work with my guy Snaj to develop a nice randomizer, and to give away, we're going to give away something good. You guys support me just coming on and getting drunk and ranting and screaming. The least I can do is come up with ways to give a little something back every now and then. And believe me, I have wanted to, but Patreon won't let me. Another thing that I've talked to locals about, and I'm waiting on an answer on this. There is a possibility of a Rekieta Law Scotch. I don't know the pricing on this yet. As soon as I know the pricing and the frequency, you guys will know. But if it's possible, there might be a Rekieta Law Scotch. And if there is a Rekieta Law, and we're talking from Scotland, if there's a Rekieta Law Scotch, I will actually test the product, make sure it's good, as long as the price is right, and hopefully we can facilitate that through locals. That's the idea. Viden, the cold one, asks a very good question. He says, if we switch from Patreon to locals, do we still get Discord access? In theory, yes. Right now, if you cancel Patreon, you say, I'm switching to locals. Yes, it's a manual process. It's a manual process to get locals to do Discord. However, Snaj and I are working, and I am working closely with the locals team specifically to make an automated process. It doesn't exist yet. I am working with how we create an automated process for Discord access through locals contributions. Know this, I am working specifically with them to try and make that happen because I think the Discord is a value to many people. And I want to provide that value through locals. I have asked nobody. There is no, look, go follow me on locals for free right now. That's a thing I will advocate. Locals access. I will be providing promo codes to access locals from Patreon to Patreons. I'll be providing promo codes to get free months on locals from people who to make the switch. Once it's ready to go, it's still in beta, so I have not pimped it hard. Once it's fully out, I'm going to pimp locals hard as shit because I like these guys. Look, every question I ask to them, they're reasonable and they give me answers. Patreon points me to terms of service. Fuck Patreon. They can eat all kinds of ass for all I care, and I hope it's a hairy man who just had diarrhea. Fuck Patreon. Fuck them. They're shit. I've been a top 1,000 Patreon subscriber content creator for like 3 years. Never once have I talked to a person at Patreon. They can eat all of the damn groceries for all I care. Fuck them. Locals works with me. They talk to me. If someone wants me on their platform, I want to be on their platform. So once that is fully implemented, you will know. I will cover it. I will cover the benefits. Look, I have never really promoted the Patreon because I don't like Patreon. I felt like it's a weak service. I don't know the value of it. I've always been kind of conflicted on like how I get Discord access to people and stuff like that. Once locals is established, literally Fuck Patreon. Fuck them. Oh, by the way, real quick, on locals, you sign up to me on Stripe. You're not paying locals on Stripe. You're paying me on Stripe. On Patreon, you're paying Patreon. And Patreon gives me a cut. Locals is different. It's my Stripe account. You sign up to me and I pay Stripe. Big difference. Huge difference in concept. Huge difference in theme. I'm not at the mercy of locals. I'm at the mercy of Patreon. So I'm trying not to be gay for locals, but I really, really can't express enough how cool they have been in all of this. When I said, hey, I want to upload Trump's CPAC speech to locals, they said, yeah, not only we can make that happen, they said, we want that. Wait, YouTube censored that speech? We want it on locals. We want it on there. Mr. K, are you happy with the cut locals will take? It doesn't bother you? The cut locals will take is industry standard. It doesn't bother me at all. Not at all. I would happily give the cut to locals. Rather than Patreon, fuck them. Charles Alvis, I don't remember what it says on the credit card statement. I think it says Ricada Law because I set it up. I think it says Stripe, Ricada Law, or REKIET, like Ricket, and then law as the subtext. One of those two things. But yeah. Here's the truth, guys. Here's the truth. If at some point locals got big enough, I would stop accepting super chats. Like, no joke. I mean, I love super chats. My favorite thing on earth. Just kidding. It's not actually my favorite thing on earth. I have a long list ahead of it, and at the top of it's Lady Rackets. But that being said, like I'm not crazy. Like if locals was able to provide me the same level of income that I make on YouTube, I don't particularly care about YouTube. But anyway, we're getting too deep into this. I'm too drunk to be talking about this stuff. What are you guys doing to me? Look, I'm still going to grift the shit out of you. But that being said, would locals let me crowdfund my porn game development? I don't know about that. I think they might, but I don't think you could post pornography screenshots on locals. Angry Baneling, it's a video game day. I'm thinking of playing Risk of Rain just for you. All right, let me read some of these super chats. We had some big ones that I ignored, but I didn't mean to. Captain Something Wong says, amen, brother. And Ace Brain 2003 says, a nice fiery Rackets rant. Haven't had one of those in a while. Austin Heartless says, clip that fucking rant. I will clip the rant and I will upload it to locals. Just the rant. Just the rant. What's the percentage chance big tech tries to kill locals? Don't know. They don't, the crazy thing about locals is they do not get funding from anybody except the creator. They don't, like, if Stripe can't remove locals because Stripe goes through the creators individually. So anyway, big tech will eventually come after locals. We'll see. I don't know what their protections are. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to support them. Like I said, they talk to me. They talked to me. They reached out to me. I'm going to talk to them. Why does it look like I'm vibrating? Because my leg is bouncing because I'm drunk. All right. All right, let's go through this. But here's the thing. Guys, let me tell you this really quickly. If Stripe entirely canceled me, we could come up with some other payment platform and integrate it into locals. There you go. Because Stripe is irrelevant to locals. It's, in some ways, federated. Crypto, you can add a Bitcoin wallet to locals. So, yeah, you can pay me in Bitcoin. I have to set it up. I don't have a Bitcoin wallet, but literally there are other ways. There are other ways to grant access to locals. I can give free access to anybody based, if they want to. If we want to create some alternative funding method, it's always a possibility in the future. For now, I'm using the existing one because it's convenient for the majority of people. So you need a current subscribe star to locals. I can do that, but what I'm looking to do is once locals is ready to go, I want to get rid of subscribe star and Patreon. Salt. I pay them a percentage of every single of all the membership. So, okay, this is enough local simping. Let's do these fucking chats. I've got to go back to this thing right here. And we've got a lot of chats to hit. Nathan Higgers, according to what I know, locals does not allow porn on locals. I don't know about art, but I think it has to do with CP laws and them trying to avoid the issue entirely. I don't know about art. I literally have no idea about like drawn or animated stuff. You'd have to ask them about that. All right, here we go. Starting with Justice Chats. Night of Hope says, the hamburger place gave me a malt instead of a shake. I know this is a first world problem, but I didn't want a malt. No, malts are not shakes and malts are degenerate. I wanted a shake. Maybe they're always malty. I don't know. No, they're not. Malt is not shake. In any case, kind of hard to understand why people enjoy malt flavor. They don't. They lie to themselves. Wolfgang Deo says, sheesh, you were late. By the way, you scared me. I walked into my room naked from the shower, and there you were looking at me. Dislike until Lawcat. Night of Hope says, what do you call a brain aneurysm when your brain is in your ass? It must be what happened to Ron when Monica first pounded him. That's why he looks like that. The underbite, weird grin, pitchy gay voice. All tragic after effects. Hope it was worth it, Ron. Ed Gein says, having internet problems, Nikki. What a shame. Wolfgang says, who sent the spicy chat that killed Nick's router? Night of Hope says, I work in telecom. Why your internet went down could have been any number of things, but the unfortunate thing for you is that you're kind of fated for this at this hour. Network maintenance typically runs midnight to 6 a.m. Eastern and some middle week day morning. Yeah, I know. I just wish they'd tell me if they had maintenance. Just tell me. Guys, I was looking at hot tubs today. Thinking about getting a hot tub. I don't know, man. Hot tub streams, rise up. Hot tub streams on locals. What do you think? Malik says, one of the things I hate hearing while I'm taking calls is when the HSD goes down during a business's biggest hours. Those are rough calls because you just kind of lament their misfortune and deal with them thinking you shut it off on purpose or whatever. Malik says, also, your modem is non-compliant. We need to upgrade and migrate you and swap your modem. We're also shutting your internet off until you upgrade. Thanks for calling Spectrum Business. No kidding. Do I like malted milk balls? No. No, I've never watched Hot Tub Time Machine. Wolfgang Deo says, Baneling, we should have the best chat. It should be beautiful. We always had the best chat. If we don't have it, then we should disown them and find a better chat. Really, tremendous chat. Beautiful chat. Big brains in the chat. Wonderful minds. Good brains in the chat. Best words. Wolfgang Deo says, I, as a private individual, am not bounded by the Constitution to not steal your law cat. As such, if you sue me, it shall not pass. Bad Dragon Knight says, so Nick, since you've had time to let it set in, what are your thoughts on Tombstone after seeing it for the first time last night at twitch.com/Rocada Law, where everyone should go follow you? I really enjoyed it. I thought Tombstone was great. Good times. Wolfgang Deo says, guys, we can make him drink again if we get to 1,000 dislikes and then flip back. Guys, give me that D. Malik says, you okay, Nick? You want to talk about it, bro? No, I'm not okay. No, I don't want to talk about it. Shadows King says, I always love a good rant. On an unrelated note, when you're having Young Bluth, when are you having Young Bluth back on the show? Don't forget the fireball. Also, I apologize to C. Goody for ruining his intellectual stream chat with my spedness and retardation. Crusader says, what is it that Razor Fist said? We'll only have justice when a judge can hang for their stupid decisions. And I, too, hate Matt Walsh because I believe he's a stupid boomer, mammon-worshipping asshole. Because he is. God bless y'all, Nick. Malik says, so you get the money directly then? Fuck yeah. Wolfgang Deo says, how do we add Dogecoin wallet to locals? I have to look. I don't know. Darren Lopez says, Kermit voice, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do to make anime girls real. Jeff Patriot sent a fox or a cat. I don't know. Frisky Django says, any Vix up on the update case? No. F name, L name says CPS should have qualified immunity from life. Viden says, thanks for rating Omo-chan last night. She really appreciated it and shouted you out on Twitter. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't see. I've barely been on Twitter today. Ever done reaction videos to Freeman on the Land? You mean, like Sovereign Citizens? Yes. Yes. Ron Paul has homeschool curriculum. Not sure how good it is. No idea. That's from Amateur Anth. Emily Wooten says, I just got here. Have you discussed HR1 bullshit vote yet? No, I have not. I've considered live streaming the HR1 stuff. If it's still going on Sunday, I might. Wolfgang Deo says, bullshit. Robot Rumble says, this gloating and rubbing it in Mike's face is fantastic. Keep up the good work, Nikki. F name, L name says, Nick, derangement syndrome completes me. Yeah. Yeah. J Rackup says, hey, Nick, I typically avoid downtown, but I just got back from Dr. Barbecue with the wife. Based on your recommendation, 10 out of 10 would stuff my face like a slob there again. Dude, Dr. Barbecue is legit. But, J Rackup, I hope you're still here. Are you still here? I'm checking in the chat. You son of a bitch, you better be here. You are still here. J Rackup. Trust me on this. Get your ass to Hawker's. It's right by Dr. Barbecue. Go to Hawker's, Asian street food. Don't do anything else but this. Order yourself a wonton noodle soup. Okay? It is like you made a chicken noodle soup, ramen, and put fucking wontons into it. It is the best damn soup there is. You've been there several times? Okay, you know then. You know already. That place is great. By the way, I'm coming back to St. Pete's. I'm going to be in St. Pete's end of March. So, if you're in St. Pete's, if you want to meet up somewhere, have some sushi, have some hawkers or something like that, send me an email. Maybe we can work something out. Last time I was in St. Pete's, I met a guy at Dr. Barbecue. We had a good food. Maybe we'll go to Chiefs, get some Cajun, something like that. Let me know. CJ says, back in the day, AMD broke a partnership with NVIDIA and bought Radeon. Pretty much you either go AMD, Radeon, or Intel, NVIDIA, or you get issues. Well, that's for them being shitty. Arelanius says, hey, Nick, you good? Hoping North Carolina opens up soon, but I feel our governor cares more about this national DNC career than his constituency. That said, this county does not care. Posted from local bar at 1 a.m. Hey, I'm good, brother. I'm hoping you are enjoying your night, though. Also, Super Saiyan 2.0. That's not in St. Pete's. That's in Orlando, isn't it? Cars in Depth says someone should publish the canceled Seuss books and dare the Seuss Foundation to sue for copyright over books they won't publish. Understand unpublished works are protected, but it would be fun to watch. I am strongly considering procuring every canceled Dr. Seuss book and reading them on Locals. These are the types of things we can do on Locals, ladies and gentlemen. These are the types of things we can do. That's what I'm wanting. Bad Vibes. Is that Bad Vibes? Yeah, Bad Vibes says Cuomo for residency 2021 at Sing Sing Penitentiary. They have a Hawkers in Jacksonville? Damn. Bang Bang says SpaceX has landed 75 boosters. I'd call that pretty successful. They just take a very public approach to prototyping so everyone sees the failures. Yeah, I like SpaceX. But here's the thing. Thunderfoot has every right to criticize SpaceX. And he has a right to do it through the use of someone else's video if he's critical of the content of that video. Porsky says, if you're looking for a game at any point, a puzzle/exploration game that's pretty good is Supraland, literal sandbox where you're a tiny meeple in a kid's sandbox and to grease chat's wheels. It has a giant CHAIR-KUN in it. That's great. Automata says, your Discord no longer has a music channel, which makes me sad. So I'll retaliate by asking if there's any news in the Vic case since the stream start. Wait, one of the I found out that the Weeb channel was removed today. I fixed it. What music channel, Automata? I don't know about it. Can you message me on Discord and let me know what's going on with that? I don't know what happened. OP12 says the CEO of Gab made a statement about this. This is made for Trump and is auto-bagging up his Twitter. Count as Trump's anytime he wants it. Yeah, it's great. I just don't think he should have it verified as Trump if it's not him. That's my personal opinion. Maybe a deceptive practice, and they should strongly consider whether or not it is. Because imagine it. Let's say you're some guy who's looking to find Trump's, verified account. You go on Gab, you make an account or whatever, you search for Donald Trump, you see Donald Trump verified checkmark, and you go, oh, hey, he's there. But he's not there. Not actually him. That's somebody else posting as Trump. And they verified it. I don't know that they can't do it. If I was their lawyer, I would suggest that they shouldn't. Also, if I was their PR person, I would suggest they shouldn't too. But maybe I'm the dummy. Aurelania says, a market competitor to Twitter just flew over my house. Also look into Fediverse if you guys want an alternative to social media with some durability. Yep, Fediverse is hard to cancel. If more people adopted it, it'd be great. Wolfgang Deo says, is that a 1,000 dislike challenge? Lawcat. Wolfgang has joined at the super lawyer level. Bad Vibe says, California's political discrimination law was written to keep closet cases from discriminating against those that came out of the closet. Yeah. OP12 says, do you think judges get paid off when the defendant has a ton of money and connections like Amazon does? In theory, maybe. But it's a really risky move because if a judge accepts that bribe and anybody finds out, they go to prison forever. F-Native Melaname says, Nick, I like you. After HR1 passes the Senate and the country is over, tell me where you're immigrating to. I will join you. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe Curacao. Curacao? I don't know how to pronounce that. Curacao? That little fucking island? Maybe that one. Angry Baneling says, if you don't post this rant as a short video, angry face. Wolfgang Deo says, fook this judge and fook this court. Hashtag yes, Nick. Brock M, thanks for the donation. Amateur Ant says, love the rant, Nick. Limp Biscuit. Limp Quizbit says, that rant was beautiful and a bunch of fire. Wolfgang Deo says, message deleted. Viden says, rant law daddy. Furby Slayer says, you are talking about a time when many lawyers and law offices won't defend people because of mob opinion. You think First Amendment matters to these people? I don't know if it does, but it should. Think the judge in Amazon's case owns Amazon stock? Judges typically aren't allowed to have a stock portfolio unless it's a blind trust. Doc BBC says, that was the best free speech rant ever. You'd better post that as a separate vid, bro, and don't let your anger management translator dilute that genius. Nope, hell nope says, don't shut up and take my money. Wish some my family understood what you just said, but they're 3 CPU cores short of self-awareness. Sheldon Hall says, speech encourages thought. They don't want you to become the conclusion that a lot of these people are screwing us. Easier to just blatantly lie. Amateur Ant says, Tim Pool actually had a good guest last night talking about DMT. Lol. I don't know what that's about. Bad Vibe says, propaganda is speech and speech is perspective based. We all have our own bias based on multiple aspects. Protect it. Amateur says, YouTubers are stupid. If you support different platforms, don't put the same content that I saw/heard on YouTube, but it still needs to be free. I don't know what you mean by that, but okay. Bad Vibe says, wait, you mean you have Rickets? Gaw run, JK. Automata says, Malt Army rise up. No. Bad Dragon says, locals seems like Crowder Mug Club, but for everyone, kind of. They're making it easier. And Porsky. Oh, wait, we already read that one. We're done. There you go, guys. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to remove the Chauvin stuff from the title because we didn't have it. As always, this stream will be uploaded to Ricada Law Live. Thanks for joining me tonight. Thanks for indulging my angry rant. Sometimes I think some of you want those angry rants, and maybe I haven't done enough of them lately, but I really, really felt it today. I'm never going to manufacture a rant for you guys, but when it's brewing up deep within my balls, I will ejaculate it onto the stream for you. Ricky Bobby says, I fell asleep with my headphones on and woke up to a screaming maniac. Yeah, buddy. Yes. That's what you need. So, that being said, we will probably have a show Saturday night. I'm not sure exactly what it'll be. We may cover the Chauvin jury questions on Saturday night. If not, we'll cover them Monday night. One of those things. Amateur Ant says, take everything to Supreme Court. You'll only find 2 Constitution judges. And then, like I said, we're also going to I'm going to start finding old hearings and stuff like that and commenting on them because they're fun to do. If you guys find any you really want me to do, send them to me. Email or direct message. Maybe I'll be able to do them. But, all right, guys, I am going to be over on Twitch. It's probably going to be a short gaming stream. Look, I've had a very, very tiring week in real life. I'm sorry about that. It's probably going to be Risk of Rain tonight because I don't want to start anything new. Next week, we're going to start a new game. Might be Valheim, might be something else. I haven't decided yet. That is next week. I'm going to ruin Angry Baneling's night by having Risk of Rain 2 because I need something to just literally, I don't want to think tonight. I can't. And I've got a big day tomorrow. So if you want to come join me on Twitch, come do that. If you don't want to join for Risk of Rain, come back next time for Twitch. We're going to be watching Rat Race very soon. We're going to watch Coming to America #2 very, very soon. We've got some fun stuff coming. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out tonight. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good night. Peace. Peace.
Oh, he drinks a fair bit, but you realize that it just helps get his noggin jogging along. With his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight, we'll hear some law-splaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes meta, raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an ardbeg, a bow, more a love rug. The spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear law-splaining tonight. From the white shores of Nan to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we are now. Oh, the guests are all plentiful, from Doug T to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear law-splaining tonight. From the white shores of Nan to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law